Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Ahmaduhu wa asta'inuhu wa astadihi wa astaghfiruhu wa umminu bihi jalla wa ala wa la akfuruhu wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. As-salahu bil-huda wa din al-haq liyudhhiruhu ala ad-din kullihi walau karihal mushrikun. All praise belongs to Allah. We praise Him. We seek His help, His assistance, and His guidance. We believe in Him and do not disbelieve in Him. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is His servant and messenger. Allah sent him, that is Muhammad, with Deen al-Haq, the religion, the way, the methodology of truth. And this way of life known as Islam will rise to its proper position in this world, whether the mushriks like it or not. Amma ba'd fa inna asdiqal hadith kitabullah wa awtaqa al-ura kalimatul taqwa wa khairul milali milatu Ibrahim wa khairul sunani sunatu Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam wa ashraful hadith dhikrullah wa asanu al-kasasi hadha al-Quran wa khairul umuri awazzimuha wa shayrul umuri muhdatatuha wa asanu al-hadyu hadyu al-anbiya wa ashraful maut katlu shuhada wa ashraful maut katlu shuhada wa ashraful maut katlu shuhada wa amma alama dalalatul ba'd al-huda wa khairul amali ma nafa'a wa khairul hadi ma utba'a wa shayrul amma al-kalb. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the most truthful of discourses is Kitabullah, or the Book of Allah. The most trustworthy word is Taqwa, or fear of Allah. The best of the communities is the community of Prophet Ibrahim. The best way of life is the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The remembrance of Allah is the most glorious of all things. The best of all narrations is Quran. The best acts are those requiring the highest degree of will and determination. The worst acts are those based on innovation. The best way of life is the one adopted by the prophets of Allah. The most glorious death is the death of the martyr. The most glorious death is the death of the martyr. The most glorious death is the death of the martyr. The most wretched blindness consists of going astray after finding the right way. The best acts are the ones that yield benefits. The best guidance is that which people may be able to follow. The worst blindness is the blindness of the heart. The upper hand is better than the lower one. The less which can meet one's needs is better than the more which can cause neglectfulness. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inna Allaha yahmuru bil adli wal ihsani wa ita'i dhil qurba wa yanha anil fashai wal munkari wal baghi ya'ithakum la'alakum tadhakkarun. Allah commands justice, the doing of good, and liberality to kith and kin. He forbids all shameful deeds and injustice and rebellion. He instructs you that you may receive admonition. فَمَنْ يُرِيدِ اللَّهُ أَنْ يَهْدِيَهُ يَشْرَحْ صَدْرَهُ لِلْإِسْلَامِ. Those whom Allah in His plan willeth to guide, He opens their breasts to Islam. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اتَّقُوا اللَّهَ حَقَّ تُقَاتِهِ وَلَا تَمُوتُنَّ إِلَّا وَأَنْتُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ. O you believe, fear Allah as He should be feared, and do not die except in the state of Islam. وَتَسْلِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. And hold fast altogether by the rope which Allah stretches out for you, and be not divided amongst yourselves. كُنْتُمْ خَيْرَ أُمَّةٍ أُخْرِجَتْ لِلنَّاسِ تَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَتَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنكَرِ وَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ. You are the best peoples ever raised up for mankind, enjoining what is right, forbidding what is wrong, and believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala khairul mursaleen. Muhammadin al-Nabi al-Ummi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd, yaqul Allahu ta'ala fil Quran al-Kareem. Inna Allaha wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala nabi. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu tasliman. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Maulana Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inna Allaha basirun bil ibadi. Fawakatahatu, excuse me, let me go back up here. فَسَتَذْكُرُونَ مَا أَقُولُ لَكُمْ أُفَوِّضُ أَمْرِي. Soon will you remember what I say to you? That is now. My own affairs I commit to Allah, for Allah ever watches over His servants. This is actually one of the ayats dealing with that person I took the name of Musa. It goes on to say, then Allah saved him from every ill that they plotted against him. But the brunt of the penalty encompassed on all sides the people of Pharaoh. So this is about two serious concepts in Islam. One, ufawidu is the word tafweed comes from that. Tafweed, and another one called rida. Tafweed is when you delegate all of your affairs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's kind of like tawakkul, but tafweed is just a little bit higher. And you would wonder, how can anything be higher than tawakkul? But tafweed is said by the Islamic scholars. What it says about tafweed, delegation of affairs, the Quran quotes Moses as saying at the end of a speech to the people of Pharaoh, you will remember what I am telling you. As for me, I am delegating my affairs to Allah. Surely Allah is all-seeing with respect to the adoring servant. So this delegation is very closely related to tawakkul and may be considered a stage of the ladder. In other words, it's considered at the end, so it's just a little bit higher than at the beginning of tawakkul, if you can pick it up like that. It basically involves turning one's affairs over to Allah for management and planning. One who has delegated one's affairs over to Allah does not rely upon plans and stratagems. Indeed, such a one is not in general concerned with the long-term planning and decision-making. Now, here, we've always been in the thing of strategic management, strategic planning, organization, and all of that. That's been our calling card. And then we run across this in reading, but we also run across it in life. So right now, if you look at where we are right now in the United States, first of all, black people is being murdered. They just murdered another guy the other day. It's unbelievable. Black people, even if you live in PG County or somewhere, they say you pay 12% more taxes than everybody else do. White people got more money than you. They say in D.C., some number, astronomical number, 87 or 81%, they have 81 times as much money as you do. We all live right here in D.C. I can't conceive that being real, but I'm sure it has some reality, right? So when you look at the affairs of black people, you see that we're in a condition of being distressed. I mean, really distressed. And if you look at Muslims, we got 3 strikes again. We black already, and then we're Muslim. And then technically we're not the wishy-washy type of Muslims that, we can't wait to vote, we can't wait to praise. They was praising old Bush, the murderer, down at the Islamic Center. And right now, some of the Muslims even got on Donald Trump's side. Well, that's what they say. He may be lying. The Muslims say that some of them was. How they come up with that? Allah knows best. I don't know how they come up with it, but they came to that conclusion that old Don was better than the other murderer and killer. Sure, they all bad. But to go for Don is like voting for the shaitan directly. You know what I mean? It's like, I'll vote for shaitan. That's what it seems like. To me, it's just an opinion. So when we look at the affairs in our life, we got stuff going on. Then add on to the situation, Islamic movement. We here are different than other groups and organizations. I mean, history have proved it. We're not like people on that side of town. We're not like people over that way. We're just not like them. We all say La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah. But we're not prepared to accept this bad situation that exists, not particularly for us, because we may have trained ourselves for certain things, right? You can train yourself, because we said the most glorious death is the death of the martyr. Okay, so if you prepared for martyrdom, you prepared for anything. And then I was listening to one guy the other day, and he was saying something we believed, and we say it in our own way. He say, if you do the things in life that are hard, life is easy. If you do the things that are easy, life is hard. You look at everybody. We're coming in contact with as much challenge and as much fitna as you can probably imagine. It's constant, it's daily, it's hourly, it's continuous. But how we see it is different than other people. We don't see it the same way. We don't see a challenge as that's a stop sign. We see it as a go sign. And on the other side of every challenge is a great opportunity. And if you're busy looking at the problem and trying to analyze the problem, you will never know, right, that the solution to the problem, right, is within the problem. Just put the problem up there, analyze it. I mean, with a good attitude now, not an attitude of fear and hopelessness. No, you do look at it like, hey, boss man is a human being, and he got a human system. And we can challenge that. Not only can we challenge that, but we have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on our side. That's what tawakkul is. Right? Trust in Allah. And delegating, ufawidu, tafweed, is a higher stage of that. That means I delegate all my affairs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, old boss man here, he get used to your habits. Not only he get used to them, he study you in detail. So we had a habit of working here in D.C., then we go to Oakland, and we would be charged up with what we're going to do in Oakland. And we'd go there and we'd get busy. Then when we're in Oakland, we'd think about before we leave, what we're going to do in D.C. We'd come back here and we'd be busy all day long. You develop momentum. Momentum, you know. That's how we did the few things we did here. You develop momentum. And there's a study that shows that if you have a 5 meter or 5 feet block of cement on the train track, right? The train got enough momentum, it'll run right through it. It just busts it up, right? But if you got a 1-inch block under those train wheels and it's not moving, it can't get started. It can't go nowhere. On 1-inch block under the train, I guess the weight of it and what, you cannot get that train moving with a 1-inch block. But if you got momentum, right? Now, that's what boss man tried to do with us. He tried to break your momentum. He did it then, he does it now, right now today. On the little property we got around here, he have a policy of trying to break momentum. That everything you do, he'll try to make it take 500 years. So he'll introduce a little, fix up everything, but he'll leave a little piece that you can't do, right? So if you don't do electricity, right, and you don't do plumbing, right, he'll leave that out. Or get it almost finished, then leave a piece of the plumbing sitting right there in front of you. You can't, because you don't do plumbing, right? Or electricity, he just won't do nothing. He'll leave it sideways. Or you'll pull your gas, attachment loose for your stove, right? And then when you go to get the stove, I got to get a gas. So it's all to break your momentum. He don't want you to get your rhythm going. Because when you get a rhythm, watch a basketball team or anybody. You get a team that's even second rate playing a first rate team. If they get the right momentum, what happened? They just run right on, bop, 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 because they're on a roll, they got momentum. People will start calling time out, everything, to break their momentum. Isn't that right? To break their focus, to break their consciousness. The system, when people look at it, they look at it as all powerful. We don't look at it like that. No, sirree. It is not all powerful, and it's full of defects. We have to hold on long enough for them defects to manifest itself. Have anybody watched the news lately? Oh, they're trying to have a coup d'etat in America, right? And all the world is laughing at America because they say, America, the seat of democracy, why they can't even do this and they can't even do that. Isn't that right? So everybody's laughing at that boss man, right? They don't have no more confidence in boss man. You see what I mean? So what we're saying is that all we have to do is hold on to our position, right? Because if he's trying to stop our momentum, we got other things we can do. When it talks about delay in hadith, that the Prophet ﷺ loved delay in everything except those that like salat and all that. What was delay? Delay means somebody enrolled on you and they got a big sale going. They want you to do this, that, and the other, right? And you tell them, I'll check it out tomorrow. You listen to the whole thing to give you time to digest what they're talking about. If you take your time, you have time to digest mean old America. Now, getting back to Musa alayhi salam, tafweed and delegation of affairs. You will remember what I am telling you. As for me, I am delegating my affairs to Allah. Surely Allah is all-seeing with respect to the adoring servant. Again, this is tafweed. That person is turning over their life, their mission, their goals, everything to Allah. They're turning over their life to Allah. They're turning over their mission to Allah. They're turning over their whole vision, how they see everything that they're looking at, and how even they picture the future. They're turning that over to Allah. But then this Rida is different. Rida is well pleased. When you well pleased with something, and then when we say radiyallahu anhu, may Allah be pleased with so and so, right? And this is where Rida comes from as a word, but as a reality, it means that you turn over your affairs to Allah, and whatever you get back, you're happy with it. You know that it's what Allah wanted you to have. You prayed for many different things, but you remember all of us and prayed for certain things, and we look around and we got something better than what we prayed for, because Allah knows what's good for us better than we do, right? And in some other cases, We may have prayed for this and that, and Allah knew that, oh, maybe that's not exactly just what's good for you. You see what I mean? We're going to have a nikah here today. And the thing about a nikah is we all have our picture of a perfect wife, a good wife, a reasonable wife. She has a certain shape, and in many cases she has a certain kind of hair. You know what I mean? Even certain kind of eyes, right? This is now the perfect wife. But half the time it don't have nothing to do with composure. It don't have nothing to do with attitude, right? It don't have nothing to do with her vision for the future, right? It has to do with our vision based in Jahiliyyah about what a good wife looks like. Not how she is, not how she acts, right? And so sometimes we praying for that woman and Allah give us somebody else that we're able to stay with for the rest of our life. Why? Because Allah knew that if you get that person, right, it may have certain effect, or if it's Allah doing it, you have certain things that will produce certain things in you, right? Certain types of adoration. You may get that kind of wife and then you may be despondent. Well, I thought, say I wanted a white wife. Well, I thought white women were special, right? And they ain't special. They girls just like everybody, all the rest, right? I mean, and pretty soon, you were, in Spanish, and women like to hear that sound of I adore you. You know what adoration is? Is praise. So, in English, to adore someone means, to put them on a certain pedestal. But in Spanish, the first meaning of adoration is praise. So you worship. That's what it means, praise and worship. So being well pleased means that you well pleased with what Allah give you. That means in this tawakkul, it means in movement, it means in marriage, it means in everything we do, we have this rida. Rida is well pleased with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you. Now that's a big deal as we continue here. When one achieves tawakkul, one fears nothing and no one other than Allah. He or she cannot be conquered, and those who have tawakkul live continuously and fully in the shadow. We have already discussed the importance of seeking knowledge, but it's just telling you how deep this tawakkul is. Another part is like, Allah be magnified and exalted, established Iman upon 4 pillars, upon patience, certainly, that is yaqeen, justice, and jihad. From these pillars of patience has 4 corners: yearning, dread, detachment, and anticipation. Yearning, the desire for something. Dread, if you're a real believer, you have dread of the fire. Detachment, it's like zahid, zuhud, to be detached. A lot of these are Sufi words, but zuhud means that you are in the world, but you're detached from the world, right? You are around cars and houses and women and men and all the beautiful things of the earth that they say, but you are not attached to those things. Anticipation, again, now anticipation is a part of management and leadership, to be able to look ahead and to be able to plan for possible scenarios. They may do this, they may do that. It may rain tomorrow, so I don't want to, get my construction crew. So you try to anticipate. In Islam and Islamic movement, you're looking at the national situation, the global situation, and our personal situation, and we want to anticipate those things that we want to encounter. Then it says certainty, yaqeen. That means that you got a ilm al-yaqeen, ayn al-yaqeen, and haqq al-yaqeen. Certainty has four corners: visioning and intelligence, uncovering the wisdom, cognizing the warnings, and cognizing the ways of past peoples. Whoever uncovers the wisdom will cognize the warnings. Whoever cognizes the warnings will cognize the ways of old. And whoever cognizes the ways of old, it is as though he is among the past peoples. He is guided to that which is most upright. He sees who is saved, that which he is saved by. He sees who is destroyed, and that which he has destroyed. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only destroys the ones who is destroyed through his disobedience. And he saves the one who is saved through obedience. Now, this is really a crucial point, because if they really cognize the wisdom, it is though they are among the peoples of old, like the people of the past. They're right there with them. And they have people that have become very successful. Not only individuals, but whole communities have become very successful, well guided, well led, well organized, and they see the things that they did. But there were people who were destroyed, and they're watching, listening, and anticipating what they're going to do, and they see which ones are destroyed and which one are led astray, because they cognize the ways of old. And it is though it's not a reincarnation type thing, but the religious scriptures, the historical process, that's why we follow four basic patterns. Of course, Quran, the Sunnah, right? Clear as a bell. Then the Quran says, travel in the earth and see what was the end of those before you. Isn't that right? Travel in the earth that you gain knowledge, right? So those are the first three, each one building on the other. And then our experience. This is what people try to do to us. They try to get us to feel like our experience is not important. And they bring their leaders here from the old days or from modern times. And those people that they bring are good. Sayyid Qutb, hey man, he was martyred in 1966. He wrote one of the best commentaries on the Quran, right? You may have Imam Hassan al-Banna. He was very good. Through those coffee houses throughout Egypt, he established Ikhwan al-Muslimin beginning in 1928. And by 1938, they had millions of followers. Just in 10 years, him and his brother. And those people are good. Maulana Maududi, our first masjid in Oakland in the early years was called Masjid al-Maududi, because all of the revolutionary literature we got in the 70s, mostly, in the early 80s, came from Pakistan, and it was written by Maulana Maududi. Later on, they sent people over here that would later become ICNA, right? they were followers of Maulana Maududi. When Maulana Maududi came here in 1972, I've seen pictures, he spent all his time with the Negroes. Yes, he did. And when he went back to Pakistan, when he told his followers, when you're going to America, look up those African American Muslims. And that's why ICNA, when they first came here, they looked us up. One of my best friends was the imam in Sacramento in those days, California, and he helped a lot, or they helped a lot in our Islamic development. But what about us? What about our own experience here in America? Why do everybody in America that came here want to do something that a Muslim, almost 100% different than what's good for them? Than what's good for them. Why? Because they have some misguidance stuck up in their stuff. And they got here, and I remember in 1986, they put the American flag on ISNA's writings at that time. They had an American flag on there, and they say, "This is the way leading straight. Follow it," under the American flag. They didn't say follow America, but they said, they put a Quranic ayat right under it. This is the way leading straight. And then there's American flag. So what do you think, why do you think they act the way they do now? Why do you think they love America more than they do other Muslims? Huh? Because that's the way leading straight. Follow it. Right? That's why. What about me and you? What about the majority of our Islamic movements? First we came here, we got, the prayers by certain people in a certain holy Koran, and it's got people, they might pray like this or whatever they do, and it's okay. And then they got a 7 on that holy Koran. That's no big deal. And then it evolves into who is the original man? The original man is the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, cream of the planet Earth, father of civilization, and God of the universe. You're talking about, this is astronomical shirk. This is ridiculous. Right? I mean, but that's what it says. That's either student enrollment or English lesson C1. I think it's student enrollment. That's number 2 on there. Who is the colored man? The colored man is the so-called white man, Yaqub's grafted devil, skunk of the earth. So now, of course, they've, I don't want to get into Dr. Yaqub and all of these personalities, but that's what we encountered. Then we got blessed with a leader that come out of that, and he changed the whole crew. We didn't agree with his politics, but his religion, he changed the whole crew right on out of that. He ain't even got no award, right? We disagreed with the siyasa, but that's okay. You can have this siyasa, that siyasa, those politics. But on religion, he just wiped that away. That is a modern miracle. Tell the truth. That's a big miracle. That's a miracle. He don't even have an award. The best Negro leader of 1980 or 85 or 2000, right? Because no one appreciates our experience. That's why the Quran, that's why the Sunnah, right? That's why traveling in the earth, looking at what happens all over the world and acquiring some historical process of it. But then our own experience. That's what we do here. That's why don't nobody like us. Because we apply our own experience. And we had the confidence to do it. The Muslims don't like it. Boss man don't like it. Don't nobody like it. It don't make no difference what they like. Right? Because they have no authority over Yawm al-Qiyamah. Right? None. All right, let me move on here. Now, well pleased with whatever Allah has decreed, delegation of all our affairs to Allah, in full assent to the command of Allah. The Prophet ﷺ said, these are people of knowledge. You know, you get letters all the time. Is any people of knowledge there? They mean these people. I don't want to get started. But they wear short pants, stuff like that. And they call the people of knowledge. They follow guys that wouldn't know the door. It says Bob over the top. Or it has exit, garage, you know. They wouldn't know what it is. But they consider the people of knowledge. Yes, they do. And anything they touch, whether it's establishing Boko Haram, right in Africa, they hate all the Muslims. So they causing the most trouble in Nigeria and any Muslims next to that, because they say we right about everything. And we wear our pants up high because that's the sunnah. They didn't read the whole hadith. You know, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, he says, oh, Rasulullah, I wear my pants low, you know. He said, yeah, but you don't do it out of arrogance. You know what? That's the other part of the hadith. You know how Negroes are. Arabs was the same way. Sometimes they wear pants low, they wear this. And that's a sign of ignorance. So Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu was saying, I wear my pants long too. You know, my pajamas long. He said, yeah, but you don't do it out of arrogance. They didn't read that part. All they read is, and the Negro is going, pretty soon, he going to cut off his pants up here right below the knee just so he can slip in and pray. I'm not against nobody. I'm just telling you, we have our own experience. And we have to lock into our experience here. Right? And we can't allow misdirection from people overseas to come and infect us. Everybody knows we have pictures with the leaders of Iran and all the big shots. They're our friends. But when they get out of line, we say, hold it, you're out of line. We're not putting up with that. And then all of a sudden, you don't see them no more. They say, we don't care. Whether you're here or whether you're at home. We know what our analysis is of the situation here, and that's what we're going to do with Allah's help. Right? That's what we're going to do. We're not concerned, although we are concerned about the national status. But if all of y'all get together, right, against us, and we all by ourselves, you're not going to have nothing on us unless we allow you that authority. The Negroes allow people with long hair, straight hair, different looks to come here and tell them what to do. Those people are sicker than the Negro. I don't know if y'all saw it, but Dr. Kaleem Siddiqui, who is really the last out of that long list of great personalities, of course, maybe except Imam Khomeini, of course, and now the Rahbar in Iran, said, Imam Musa, y'all remember that video? After I gave a talk in South Africa, there's thousands of people there. Dr. Kaleem Siddiqui said, hey, this guy has got it going on. We thought we knew about racism. Now I'm talking about racism in South Africa to a Muslim group of people who are Indians, coloreds, and Africans. Everybody's there. He said, we thought we knew about racism, right? Until what we just heard from him. What does that mean? That means that the African American has encountered every form of racism and oppression that we can assist in mental clarity and spiritual upliftment anybody, anywhere in the world. That's exactly what it was saying. That's what it was saying. But there's people here want to keep you cut off and isolated, and they want to break your momentum. No. Now here's something about well pleased that we want to mention. There is strategies and there are tactics. When you turn your affairs over to Allah, right, then you still planning and thinking and organizing, but Allah's hand, Yadullah, the hand of Allah is over you, right? So you're not speaking anymore, or you're not planning and scheming anymore from your own base, right? So what it means is that Allah has taken over your affairs. This is what Moses said. I'm turning over ufawidu, tafweed. I'm delegating my whole affairs to Allah. This thing is too big for me. For old time Musa, right? That's what it means. And so when we study what's going on here in America, what has happened, it's only natural that you say, hey, I'm not a dummy or nothing, but this is too big for one or two or three people. I'm turning it over to somebody that it ain't nothing. That's Allah. And that's what keeps you afloat. That's what keeps you focused. That you turn your affairs over to Allah, because He's Al-Basir. He sees and knows everything that's good for His abd, His servant. That's what it's saying, technically in words. All right. So well pleased is whatever Allah has decreed and delegated. Total reliance upon Allah, full assent to the command of Allah, well pleasedness with the decree of Allah, and delegation of all the affairs to Allah. That's basically what we've tried to do here. And you know what? We're going to keep on trying that. And not only just because it works, because we're well pleased with it. When you have maximum political, strategic encirclement. If y'all remember years ago, we've been talking from the day one about encirclement and suppression. Boss man ain't playing with nobody here. And you as an individual or as a group can't deal with all those things alone. So we just talked about momentum a while ago. If you're on a train that's moving so fast, it'll break through a barrier anytime. 5 solid blocks of concrete. But boss man tries to interfere with your momentum and slow you down. In fact, he'll misdirect you. Do you know that we have been misdirected for over 40 years? Let's say, might as well call it 50 years. But you know, the more boss man try to misdirect us, he sent us through his misdirection exactly where we needed to go. He do that. That's what and he keep doing it over and over again. And you tell him, boss man, I sure appreciate what you're doing. Combination of defects. When you look at America right now, the combination of defects is overwhelming. It's just, I guess y'all watch the news every now and then. Post CNN, they're going to have a heart attack. This is terrible. That's all they talk about is how bad this situation is. Now, we said a long time ago, years ago, that Don was put here to destabilize the Republicans, to destabilize the Democrats, and to destroy and weaken America. Listen to that Hitlerian document several years ago. We said that Donald Trump come to power right on the wave of Adolf Hitler. You know why? Maybe y'all don't watch all these history channels and all that. I have been watching them for ever since I've been here almost. But one thing about Hitler, he has a tone and he has phrases that my purpose, 1933, as chancellor, is to defend the fatherland, to defend Deutschland, to make Germany great again. You know who said that? Somebody told me that he have a compilation of Hitler's speeches on this thing. I'm not sure of that. But all I know is everything I've heard from Adolf Hitler and everything he says, he's appealing to the same type of people that was in Germany. Germany lost World War I. Germany had to pay high reparations to everybody. Germany was mad at the world. And Hitler comes in and say, I'll pull you out of that. Shoot, I'll make y'all great again. Right? And I'll do this and I'll do that. And guess what? He did it for a while. Master psychologist. A little on the crazy side, but, there's always a balance when you're in that arena to whether you go from insane to genius. And he went all the way. And he caused more death and destruction on Germany, along with the atomic bomb dropped on Japan. And World War II was the biggest war that the human being have ever had. World War II. That means everybody in the world. Can you imagine? Well, they had World War I, but the whole world fighting, right? Because the people was being taken advantage of. Just like Adolf Hitler had a few little successes, right? Then he invaded Russia. That's the biggest mistake he ever made. But we all hear about the great D-Day, the longest day, June the 6th, 1944. And we thought it was America that won against the Germans. Till a few years ago, when we studied about Stalingrad, and we studied and we found out through listening and watching and reading that 27 million Russians was killed in World War II. And 5 out of 6 Germans that was killed in World War II was killed by Russians. We didn't know that. We don't. The point is, we got our own German mentality people here, poor white people. And they got the poor white people thinking that they have a Negro problem, right? That it's the Negroes. And these white people own most of the guns. I mean, they can be living in a haystack. And you say prevent guns, they go down and invest all the money they got. I went to a gun show in Baltimore. And those poor white people, them carts that we used to have in the penitentiary, and you loaded up and put, them white people, poor ones, was pushing ammunition. They would stack it up These is poor crackers, I'm telling you. And they would be pushing with all they might, and they would have that cart stacked up this high. And then if you can count a little bit, just a little, you'll say, well, each box of shells, bullets costs, let's say $20. And they got, and you're not going around counting people's stuff, but you look at it and you come up with your mind, you say, man, those people have $10,000 and $20,000 on one cart, right? What's so bad about that? If we don't redirect their thinking, those poor whites, under the spell of Don and the rest of the United States, will use all of those bullets on me and you and Mexicans, right? Think about it. That's why our job, and there's only one man or one group of human beings that their life cycle is decreasing. You know who it is? White men. From opiates, from all of that stuff. Oxycontin. 70,000, at last count of them, 70,000 white people dying every year off that heroin and what have you, because they use a little bit of store-bought dope at first, but they can't keep getting it, so they go to heroin. You know, in the greatest years of Negroes dying of ODs was never anywhere close to 70,000 a year in America. Not even close. But it was so serious that it stopped and it blocked the movement. So in the Quran, it tells us, return evil for good, all that stuff. And we got to go and we have to become they wali. That's what the Quran said. And their warm and fuzzy friend. Hamim, warm friend. Right? That's what it says. It said, but ain't nobody but the fortunate people. And that word fortunate, has, is used. The first meaning is fortunate, and the second meaning is lucky. When I look at myself, I said, boy, I'm the luckiest Negro in town. The luckiest, from the same word. And our movement, our organization is the luckiest and the fortunate. But we have to choose our goals. And you kind of have to sit up in Jum'ah. You can't, especially if your feet facing that way. It's just a little something from Hadith, about your feet facing that way. So, but now if you want to just sleep, you could sleep that way or something like that. But generally, you want to stay kind of a little woke and up. Anyway, let me go on. Forget about personal momentum. It's called like, have y'all ever heard the story about Belle the cat? We talk about it all the time. Belle the cat. All the animals was being chased and run around and eaten up by this big old cat-like animal. Let's call it a lion or something like that. So all the other animals got together and said, hey, what are we going to do? And they come up with, I tell you what, you know where they put bells on cows? We'll put a bell on that cat, so whenever he come around, everybody can hear him coming. They said, that's a great idea. Then it comes now, the question is, who's going to bell the cat? Who's going to put that bell on the cat? Out of all other, they didn't come up with a great idea, right? It is, put a bell on him. Now, who's going to be technically stupid enough or crazy enough to put themselves within inches of the jaws of the most vicious animal in world history? In Islam, it's us. We done already belled the cat. We done made fools out of the whole system, and we still here laughing and talking and having a good time. Whether anybody like it or not, it's not up to them. Everything that they wanted us not to do, we've done it. Every hero that they wanted us to stay away from, we ran and got them. There's people in Imam Jamil's own community that when he got in trouble, they looked like, they gave him bayah, of course. Now, we never gave Imam Jamil bayah. Never gave him bayah, but we was good friends. But if it's a need for money, and the people said, why, he would deplete all the resources. No. If y'all got out busy and active at that time, you would multiply your resources. You could raise money for Imam Jamil and a little bit for your own time. But they didn't think like that. They think we'll stay at home. And boss man saw that, he said, well, now we're going to heap on more. It's not only on him, it's on the whole rest of the communities. Right? So they have made serious mistakes. Over Dar al-Hijra, while we was over there, 9/11 jumped off. We went out to Adams Center and said, we'd all wear black. We want to help y'all, so we'll come out a few brothers. Because ain't nobody going to bother us inside the city. We'll come out and help y'all. Shoot, we don't want y'all's help. But of course, we had demonstration. Now, across the street over there, they had a unique, they said, well, what we're going to do is this, because everybody's in a solution mode. We're going to take American women, white women, and sisters. We're going to take the American women, put hijab on them. Anybody remember that? Nobody remember that? We're going to put hijab on white American women and our women. And we're going to put them outside. Now, they thought, for a while they thought we made it up. We said, well, isn't men the Qawam, protectors and maintainers of women? It don't say girls are the protectors and maintainers of boys. It don't say that, do it? It said boys is the protector and maintainer of girls. Right? That's what it says. That's what I thought it said. Probably sometime. The way we act and the way they act, you think that we didn't read it out of the Quran. Them niggas made that up. That's the way they acted for about 1 minute, a whole minute. They was, Then they realized the nigga is right. But they were so afraid. And don't let one of them get in trouble. Y'all read all the newspapers from those days. When the police come down on their crew, right, they break out and run. Here's what we told them. Because, when you go to Jum'ah, you would see the wife of the arrestee. Their car would be smoking and what have you. And if you went in the Dar al-Hijra, you would see the wife sitting there at the table selling cookies or something for money for their husband. Here's what we told them. Think about it. Y'all remember this. I say anytime somebody get arrested and y'all got the money, you ought to buy them a 5-bedroom house, a brand new Benz. Anybody remember that? Buy them a 5-bedroom house and a brand new Benz. And keep doing it. Pretty soon the police will leave you alone. Now, if you doing like they doing now, I said, suppose the wife is left like they leave them. Every time she come to Jum'ah, the car is smoking and everything, what the other wives are going to say? Oh, you keep your mouth shut. Stay in line. That's where we're going to be. You owe it to us. Suppose they get her a 5-bedroom house and a brand new Benz, and the kids are leaning out the top of the sunroof or something like that, right? What the wife going to say? Boy, you better speak up and stand up for Islam, because she know she going to get a Benz. That's not, I'm just saying, right? You think about it. Nobody's going to be afraid. She's not going to be afraid. But if they leave her starving to death and no help at all, and they got all the money in the world over there. Hey, man, at Eads, they take, I don't know. I just tell you a little story. I'm not going to be here much longer. We had a program during those days downtown. Believe it or not, it was 500,000 people downtown. Anybody remember that? 500,000 people. There was Muslims mixed in the crowd too. We was doing security. So, to show you that white folks don't need no money, there's people like Susan Sarandon, all of them there, they was down there. So, the brothers used to be not mad at me, but they would say, Imam Musa, you got to demand more of this. And I said, don't worry, if they see us all in black, the people are going to remember us. And if we have 1 or 2 minutes, now we handle the stage. Everybody go on the stage, come on, we handle it. So I told the people, I didn't speak but a few minutes. There's 500,000 people there. I said, do you want to say a slogan that 1.5 billion people will love you? They all said, yes. I said, well, now I'm going to say something that's called takbir. And I said, takbir. I said, when I say that, you say Allahu Akbar. The white folks down there, they said Allahu Akbar. Technically, they said it better than the Muslims. Because the second time I said it, takbir, Allahu Akbar. Well, they said it longer than that. The third time, you would think they was in Mecca somewhere. The white folks now, I don't want to get technical, on the day of judgment, that may be their only good thing on their record. It might get them through. Well, what did you do in the cause? Well, back in 2000 something, I said you was the greatest. I did. I was just looking and I found it. Right? That may be the only thing on their record. But anyway, here's the point. The next day, Rush Limbaugh told all the white folks that Imam Musa, whatever his name is telling our people, white folks, them slogans that they use when they blow up our buildings and blow up our airplanes. That's what they told them. And all them big shot white folks down there, they could care less about money or anything else. They was fully funded. You know why? How many of them big giant baskets was it? 21 or something? The white folks was bringing big baskets of money, and they was setting it by the stage and walking off. I said, y'all better stop that, because I am a Negro. And if you keep setting all that money there, if you do that one more time, I said, we're going to have a van pull up, and if there's 20 things out there, you're going to get 5. The other 15, we going off with it. I was just joking, of course, but they didn't know. The white folks didn't care nothing about money. They had a medical tent. We had to put all of that money, we don't know how much it was, in a medical tent. 21 boxes, buckets, cartons, baskets of real live money from 500,000 people. If one of them gave a dollar a piece, which some going to give 20 or 30, some are 50, it's going to be, there's hundreds in there. So people was giving money. We don't know how much it was. Only thing we knew, the white folks didn't care nothing about it. It was bought and paid for. That demonstration that they have, and all the women's demonstrations and all of us, were organized by other people. Donald Trump is bought and paid for by Zionists. Everything else you see in America is bought and paid for already. And there's only one route, there's only one avenue toward truth. That's you and I. And don't worry about whether people like you or they don't like you or we not with you. Hey, let them go their way, right? Let them sit up in their house nervous and afraid. We just have to do Allah's work. And we'll still be here when they all gone. If that's what Allah wants. If Allah wants us to be here for 10 years, we'll be here for 10 years and gone. If Allah wants us to be here time after time, when everybody else is hiding in their house and we out selling wolf tickets and talking trash and even doing a few small things, that in time, people going to get a look at what we're trying to do. That's what Bell and the Cat is. Huh? It's putting a bell around Boss Man and telling everybody, not only he coming, but here we are putting this bell on him. And he ain't nothing but a big mouth bum. And guess what? That's the way history taking it. Got to remember, where was Boss Man 20 years ago? Where is he at 10 years? Where is he at now? And we're still here. I'm just trying to tell you, dear believers. Okay, we'll find. So old Don and all his crew, he was put here to wreck and ruin America, to make America big and weak. Weak, why? So he can be used by Israel and others. Why would his Donald Trump's son-in-law, it's his son-in-law, be given all big stuff? He's 35 years old and he's running around like he's been here 200-300 years. Why? Because the Israelis, Mossad told him, marry that guy's daughter. He's a perfect setup for us. He's arrogant, he's stupid, right? And we can manipulate that boy. And he's broke, right? See, me and you don't know he broke. We think he have money. But it's easy to see that boy is flat broke. Or flatter broke now. Even the white folks said he'd owe $300-400 million. That's a lot of money to me and you, but it ain't nothing to them. They can waste that in no time. So, they knew he was broke. So they said, well, you sell your daughter to us. He said, fine, you can have her. And they're going to have a Jew, a Zionist. There's a difference between Jews and Zionists. When you see the rabbis and all that, those are our friends. The rabbis, the Torah-toting Jews. They are not Israelis. They're different. The Turakarte and others, the Orthodox Jews are friends of the Muslims, especially the ones here in the United States. And they're enemies of Zionism. That's the main enemy that you and I are fighting here in America. Is not Boss Man, the old enemy, our old oppressor. He's now being oppressed by other people who's outsmarted him, right? So you got to deal with Zionism. Why is it that, we'll close in a minute, why is it that they have on the news early last year all this stuff about Black Lives Matter, then all of a sudden they have white kids going around burning everything down off Black Lives Matter and causing all this trouble, right? Antifa, whatever they want to call them. That's their fitna. And then 2 weeks after that, they have Negroes, famous Negroes, y'all probably seen them, apologizing to Jewish people about something that one of them said that has nothing to do with me and you, right? The Negroes getting too much publicity. They were showing African Americans as more human than they ever had been, right? They don't deserve to be shot and killed and murdered, right? That's what they were saying. So now they got to get it back on the Holocaust and back on the, hey man, the Holocaust, how many other Jews they got rid of? They ain't got rid of more Negroes, Indians, and Mexicans than this boy over here have, right? This boy here done had hundreds of years. And the only slavery in the world where a slave have a baby and the baby become a slave too. That's serious stuff, right? It's natural here. We're not comparing our misery and long years of misery with other people, but I'll close with this. Allah placed us in a position to offer everything that Allah had left with us, how to survive in hard times. What type of attitude should you have, right? All the songs we used to sing sound like we was moaning all the time, right? Y'all remember moaning? People would moan, and it was kind of like a code. You think about all them slave songs, wade in the water. God's going to trouble the water, isn't that right? Go down the water, steal away. They talking about steal away to Jesus? No, steal away home. I ain't got long to stay here. That was a song telling them niggas it's time for you. The Underground Railroad is coming. You leave here tonight. The Underground Railroad is going to be here tonight. And God's going to trouble the water. That water is going to cover up your tracks. Right? And all them old songs they had, every last one of them. Everybody talking about heaven ain't going there. You know what they was talking about? White folks. Because white folks was teaching them about heaven and who's going to go to heaven. And they had a song. Everybody talking about heaven, they ain't going there. If what they saying is true, them people are not going to heaven, right? So everybody thought it was all old moaning songs. It wasn't moaning songs. It was putting up with this stuff till a better day come. That's what it was. And everybody in the world want to know, how can we put up with all of these problems that we're having till a better day come? Until we develop the ability to change the world to our benefit. Oh Allah, we seek thy refuge from anxiety and grief. We seek thy refuge from lack of strength and laziness. We seek thy refuge from cowardice and niggardliness. We seek thy refuge from being overpowered by debt and the oppression of men. O Allah, suffice us with what is lawful. Keep from us what is prohibited. With thy grace, make us free from want of what is beside thee. Ameen. Iqamati salat.